had awoken on Sunday morning. It was October 20th and I had a bright idea. I would make a mortuary assistant video out and release it on Halloween, but then it hit me, a sudden realization. It was 11 days away. I usually take a month to get these videos out, so I had to get to work. I had spent days writing. Actually, hours. It only took me 6 hours to get all this done. I also researched. I finished the script, but then I threw it, and then I abused my Leon Kennedy cutout, and then I hit a jig, and then midway through writing, my computer crashed, but we have it.
But now, ladies, gentlemen, and germs, I present to you the Mortuary Assistant, solved.
Hello Internet, welcome to Sage Theory. Well, this will be my intro until I can find something new and original. Anyways, I know it's been a few months, but here I am. I speed ran the script just for you, my lovely 60 subscribers. Anyways, the game I'm going to talk about today, the Mortuary Assistant, is a game that is very near and dear to my heart. As me and my friend, this was the first ever game I ever downloaded. Me and my friend always play this together, and it's always the funniest thing ever, but sometimes it can be like we shit our pants scary. One time we played with my EMF reader. I set it over by my closet, and at one point it started spiking. I guess we can try. Anyways, speaking of EMF readers, if you would be interested in a ghost hunting video, make sure you hit that like below, because I feel like that would be interesting. Now, enough of my ramblings. It's time to get into the actual nitty-gritty of this video. Now, if you haven't played the Mortuary Assistant, why have you? You should go play it right now. Right skibbity now. Do it right now. Watch somebody play it. I don't care. It's great. Anyways, you as a player play as Rebecca Owens and have been hired by Raymond to work at a mortuary. With an unexpected turn, you have to go in for a night shift. And twisting that turn even further, the mortuary is haunted and you have to learn how to banish a demon that is possessing a body by figuring out its name and what body it's possessing in 2 hours, depending on what difficulty you're playing. Simple enough. Anyways, in the beginning, you are given a series of tapes that you have to follow, telling you how to identify the body, how to burn it, and how to figure out its name. Basically, you take strips, walk around with them until they explode, see sigil, do sigil, open computer, match name with one of the names on the night shift database, put the name on the possessed body, which you can figure out by looking for new/different markings on the body, sudden movements, and if the body is more active than others, going as far as giving the body scratch marks right then and there, or simple movements such as this. Ew, keep your foot fetish to yourself, Raymond. I haven't seen anybody do a video on this game, so I'm going to do a video on Amanda the Adventurer's unfavorite sibling. Anyways, moving on from that, let's get into the beefy meat of this video. Now, there's going to be 3 main parts to this. There's going to be the demons, there's going to be Raymond, and then there's going to be Rebecca. And I'm going to address those in those exact order. Now, these demons have been around a long time. The language they speak was lost in the burning of the Library of Alexandria in 48 BC by Julius Caesar. Now, imagine you're this all-powerful, crazy. Now, let's get on to a little history lesson for us. Now, Julius was pursuing Pompey through Egypt, where he was cut off by a fleet in Alexandria. Now, imagine you're this power-hungry emperor back in Rome, and you're mad and you're cut off by a fleet and you're stuck. What do? You A, apologize. B, burn everything. C, sacrifice everyone to save yourself. D, give up. Now I'm going to give you 5 seconds to answer this while I stare at you uncomfortably. Now, if you chose B, burn everything, you would be correct, because that's exactly what Julius did. He started a fire and which ended up destroying the fleet of Alexandria and then just spread all through Egypt, and that burned the library. History lesson and pop quiz aside, only very few people knew of this language. The language was called Athenian, which is one letter away from Athenian, which Athens was a city in Greece. So if that tells you how old that language is, it's very. The Night Shift database gives us plenty of backstory. When Satan was exiled from heaven, his hate for God caused him to create a language of Athenian, which was combined to help decipher? Cipher? Bill Cipher? The Athenian language helped decode Athenian language, so it's like they went hand in hand. And now the language can be heard spoken throughout as you play this game, but there's no subtitles for it, so you really have to put your listening ears to work. There's also examples of this language being spoken in the Night Shift database as well. The database describes it as Satan built his thrones from these halls. In the hall, he built 3 houses: immolation, desolation, and invidious. Looking at the meaning of these words, immolation is the act of unaliving yourself or someone else with the use of fire. Invidious meaning you're invoking anger, showing prejudice, or just not being pleasant. Desolation meaning loneliness, emptiness, being left in destruction and misery. When you figure out the house, you figure out the demon's name. In the Night Shift database, you are given the 3 houses, and when you click on one of the houses, you are given 4 options of names. In order to figure out the demon's names, you need this slip. As you walk around, it will combust into flames and give you a symbol. If you get enough symbols, you can A, compare them to each house to see which one aligns up, or you can use your little sticky note that is on the front desk to figure out what house it is. When you go to the Lesser Spirit page, you are introduced to 3 spirits, one belonging to each house. You see the woman in white, who is attached to the house of desolation. When you play the game, you see the lady in white just appear, and sometimes she'll attack you, but she is mostly shown in a white wedding dress. Connecting this to the house of desolation name, this could be like some sort of runaway bride, her husband stood her up, or it's like, you know, the wedding dress is supposed to symbolize love and connection, so maybe something went wrong with her wedding, or she could just be, so like her past spirit could have been like some sort of like bride that was stood up or unloved and she died, and then somehow she became acquainted as a demon. Her spirit is the only one that can cause physical harm, like dragging you down a hallway. She will appear in hallways and sometimes the cabinet where you can enter a code. There is also the Shadow Man. The Shadow Man is quite just the scrawny fellow, might I tell you, and he will just sit there and watch you. He doesn't cause any physical harm, maybe besides giving you a heart attack when he jumps up at you. I've had experience. Now, the Shadow Man's house is the house of immolation, which I said is burning yourself or somebody else alive. So his human appearance along with a black silhouette can also be connected that maybe his spirit was burned alive and then something happened to him. But the Shadow Man is supposedly used by the demon as like a distraction to confuse the person. Man, do I hate him. Last but not least, we have the Mimic. The Mimic is a part of House of the Invidiousness, which basically he just sits around and just watches you from tops of shelves, behind corners. It's time. Sometimes he'll appear behind the gurney where you are embalming the body. Yeah, but the Mimic just stalks you and you can stare at it back as long as you don't get too close, and then it will just dissipate into whatever darkness it came from. This Mimic is supposedly longing to be a human, as it stalks you, it's like suffering, it wants to be human. Now, the true Mimic form is unknown, but that has changed, because I'm the true Mimic form. A while after the game was released, a new update came out, which allowed another new 6th ending. When you get the ending, you get this achievement called the House of Delver. The symbol on the achievement is one you see multiple times in the secret room underneath the mortuary. There are 2 secret rooms. There is one that you look at as soon as you enter, and then there is another one to the right. When you go to the one to the right, there is a girl that is trapped in a box. Her name is Valerie, and she asks you to help her. What you have to do is take the mark that's on her box and burn it with the correct body. And once you do, you would get this ending. The whole reason she's stuck under the basement is because she was a previous assistant of Raymond's, and she ended up getting possessed. Valerie nicely asks Rebecca to try and help her and take her mark and burn it with the correct body of the demon. After you do that, you would take the bolt cutters from the other secret room, and then you go and take off the lock. The mark on her box has a demon name on it. The name doesn't show up in the Night Shift database, so it could be a part of a new house entirely, or the House of Delver. I doubt it's called the House of Delver, and I think it's just the achievement name, but that's what we're going to call it from now on. But in the ending, you burn the body with Valerie's mark, and then when you unlock her little thing, a new whole demon comes out, and it's like, but it's time for you to burn. And Raymond comes in, and he actually bodies the demon, but when the demon scratches him, his tattoo is revealed. And When you see it, there are the 3 houses, and in the center is the house of Delver. So this could be like the main like demon or the main house or like the ruler of these 3 houses. Since Valerie's mark was a whole different name than what we see, could the house that is revealed on Raymond's chest be the demon's house that is possessing Valerie? So is it like a more higher demon that controls the other houses? Who knows? But speaking on that, let's get into the Raymond Delver. Now, in the beginning, when Rebecca is talking to her grandmother, we see and we learn that Raymond used to be Rebecca's old mentor and that he put her in for it to finish her internship at the mortuary. So Raymond is the whole owner of this whole mortuary, so it's more of like a private thing, so that's why nobody's complaining about why he has a girl in his basement. When you go into the basement of the mortuary, you find a lot, and I mean a lot of lore and dirt on this Raymond. It all starts in the 60s. That's when we see the first journal entry, or aka the VHS tape that we find in the hidden room. It is revealed that Raymond's mother, Audrey, had gotten possessed somewhere around 1960, and a year later, Raymond started documenting this possession. Raymond documents exactly what she does under possession, like Audrey would get up, move around, stare into random corners, and sometimes just lay in bed until she went completely immobile and just stared at the ceiling and started speaking in tongues. Now, what gets interesting here is when she starts speaking in tongues, Raymond says, "I thought I loved her, but I really don't care about her anymore."
But it made everything easier. I didn't care anymore. I hated her.
But the tongues that Audrey would say is, "Your God is fake," and something else I cannot quite decode. So if you know what this is, please reach out. That would be awesome. Because in the Night Shift database, there is a whole language deciphering thing, and there's nothing there for that second whatever sentence that is. But this VHS tape is one of many things that reveals Raymond's past. There's the VHS tape, there is a voice recording, then there are 4 journals that document from 1960 to 1980 something. Now, in the VHS tape, you see a notebook paper, which shows the 2 things that Audrey is saying, but then another symbol, which is the House of Delver that we see. This isn't the only place with Audrey that this symbol shows up, but we'll get to that later. Next, we have the voice recording that we see in a suitcase. Now, this voice recording is actually an exorcism recording between Raymond, a priest, and Audrey. Now, there is so much that is revealed in the small details that Raymond and Audrey say. In the beginning of the tape, Audrey goes,
"Pitiful flesh is not my cry. The full feel the mark of my coming. I claim this presence at the threshold to my glory."
Going more into the relationship between Raymond and his mother, Raymond goes,
"You've taken enough from me. Burn in hell."
She already is.
Good. What?
This makes me wonder, why was he glad about this? Was he really that happy about his mother going to hell? I really wonder what grudge Raymond has against his mother, that she's glad that when the demon says, "She already's burning in hell," that Raymond says, "Good." So now, as the exorcism continues, the priest starts citing one of the first exorcism prayers written by Pope Leo VIII. Now it's time for a religious lesson. The prayer was originally written against the apostate angels, and it's a prayer to Saint Michael. It's written between 1890 and 1891, which was way after the demon we see was around. Now, as its language was recovered way back in BC times. The apostate angels were angels that had rebelled against God and fell from heaven, and their ringleader was Lucifer. Now, Lucifer is a rendition of the Old Greek term Isophoros, which means he who brings first light. Now, there are 3 hierarchs that are mentioned in the Bible that had spread religion and spread the word of God. Now, bear with me here. The 3 houses that are mentioned in the mortuary assistant could be some sort of like 3 hierarchs that we see, and they are trying to like spread their word that like their God is fake, and also trying to like gain power and fear to help empower them for their reign. Anyways, still during the exorcism, the demon goes, then again,
"I will torture this lost soul for my pleasure until the day I claim what is rightfully mine."
Also in the 6th ending, when Rebecca releases Valerie, the demon goes on about something claiming what is rightfully hers and her prize. That's crazy work.
It's time for you to burn.
What this prize is, they could be anything at this point. It could be like to gain power, to gain fear, to become a tyrant of the world. But out of most possibilities, it's probably Raymond. Raymond has been fighting this demon for 30 years, from 1960s to 1998 when this game takes place. He has been fighting this demon for that long. He has never gotten to the level of helplessness that Audrey, Valerie, and Rebecca in that one ending have. He has still fought. Even in the ending when you burn the wrong body and Rebecca wakes up possessed, this demon quite literally crumbles Raymond into a meatball and throws him aside.
Drink it as nuts from a pit of a brain. Worthless old shit. Heal him up now.
So what does this demon want? Is its goal to torment Raymond? Is its goal to haunt him? Is it to hunt him? Or does this demon see Raymond as a threat? See, Raymond knows a lot about the specific subject of demons. He is actively fighting this demon. So this demon could see him as a threat in the way of its reign. So it's trying to get rid of him in order to move on. Because the tattoo that we see on the end of Area 6, it seems to have saved him from possession when the demon first scratches him. But it also removes a little circle thing. So this could be like he has 3 strikes and he's out. But he's also seen repairing or something, this tattoo in the ending as well. Before, he had never got fully possessed like Audrey did. So what is its goal here? How powerful is Raymond exactly? Why is he so powerful at this point? What is Raymond? Why is Raymond? Why aren't you subscribed? Anyways, we have strayed from the voice recording of the exorcism that we originally started talking about, so let's go back to that. Towards the end of the exorcism recording, the priest goes, put the Bible on the demon's body. Now, after that recording finishes, you see the Bible right next to it, and that Bible has handprints on it that is stained, but on the back of it, it has the House of Delver yet again. What is with this house? What does it mean? Now we're going to move on to Journal 2, which takes place June 14th, 1977. This whole journal is really short and sweet to the point. It just basically describes how Raymond has finally started figuring out what's going on, figuring out this language, and finally getting help on what is going on. Now, the third journal takes place May 29th, 1983. That's when the first entry is. Now here is where it gets just a little insane, okay? For 4 years, he's hired assistant after assistant, where they eventually get fed off to the demon that has been after him. This includes his first one, David, then James, then Andrea, Angela, and then he starts working alone until he hired Valerie, where he lost her in December of 1989. But he just keeps her in his basement, like normal people would. His final journal entry takes place in March of 1989. After figuring out the language and its origins, he takes a trip to Egypt where he is helped by a man with the name of Akil Salah, who helps him design the marks, token things, and all that jazz. Now, towards the end of this journal, we see that he takes care of Valerie. This is a complete 180 turnaround of what he said about Audrey and how he hated her and how he just stopped caring anymore. But Raymond probably cared for Valerie because he needed her blood in order to help start, fighting against this demon in a more effective way. But maybe not, maybe he didn't have the best morals, but at least, actually not at least, he's just defending himself. So never mind. But anyways, my research for this Raymond's part was starting to look like a madman's wall. Like, it was getting all over the desk. It was a little insane. That's where we're going to end this session, as that was the last round that we see of Raymond, and then we're going to move on to Rebecca. Now, Rebecca is the girl that we originally play when you open up the game. We see her talking to her grandmother, and her grandmother goes on about how proud she is that she's getting this job and how she's getting back into things because Rebecca was going through it. Now, through multiple playthroughs, we see Rebecca's story and what has happened to her in the past, and we learn more about her through what the demons say and stuff. Y'all know I love you, so if I'm going to give you a warning, I'm going to talk about a lot of topics such as suicide and addiction, and if you don't like the discussion of those, I recommend you skip to here, and right there I will give a summary of what happens. Now, Rebecca had suffered a lot when she was young, as both of her parents were struggling with addiction. Her mom had OD'd when Rebecca was a very young age, so she grew really close with her dad. Her dad began to get sober, and so did she. They were both on this path to soberness, because on the dad's path to sobriety, he ended up having a very unfortunate end, as he had tripped and fallen, smashed his face, and then fell into the ocean. After Rebecca's dad's death, Rebecca keeps his sober coins with him, as we see 5 years sober and 8 or 10 years sober. I'm not quite sure. Now, Rebecca went on the train of addiction herself, as we see through multiple scenes where she is in her apartment. One scene where we actually have to prepare her kit, and another scene where she walks through a rehab where you can see that she had obvious signs of struggling with depression. Now, you see her depression spark up in very obvious ways twice. There is the scene when you were in the mortuary where the doors open and there you see she had unalived herself, and also in the institution scene where you also see that she had unalived herself as well. In the mortuary scene, you have the option to give her the dad's sobriety coins, and she will do this, which gives you another ending. Now, there are also multiple scenes where she's being threatened to relapse, as one is a hallucination of her taking a scalpel and repeatedly stabbing herself. One is when the grandma comes up to a window in a sequence. If you walk in a different room, the grandma will go, "Why don't you slit your wrists for me? Just one tiny little cut, Rebecca." So Rebecca obviously had signs of depression, and she obviously hurt herself multiple times, and she also had addiction. But at this point in her time, her grandma is the only one she can trust, and she is also the only one that she has at this point. So essentially, and for those of you that especially skipped, Rebecca suffered through depression, addiction, and a horrible past with her family. But she's on the path to becoming better, as we see. So if she can do it, you can too. Anyways, there are major takeaways from this video. I know this video has been very all over the place, so let me just lay it out for you. Raymond has a very deep past with this demon. He keeps his mother and strange women in his basement. Raymond is also being targeted by this demon, but yet he has yet to die, except for that one ending where Rebecca crumbles him up into a meatball. So what does this mean for Rebecca? What does this mean for Raymond if he ever gets possessed? What does this mean for his mother? And will we ever learn more into depth about their relationship? And also, the way this 6-6 ending is laid out is like the conversation, like I said, is so casual that there's obviously some deep history with Raymond and this demon, possibly even before 1960, before the demon had even possessed his mother. It could be like some sort of punishment for Raymond. Like, what is this demon's main goal with Raymond, as it has been haunting him for 30 years? Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit all over the place, but I have been wanting to cover this game for a long time. Be sure to check out my channel, and if you want other videos like this, I have already made a Gravity Falls theory video like this, but if you want more specifically on different topics, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I also have another project coming out in maybe late November, so if you want to see that, that's gonna be cool. It's a pretty big one. This is the biggest thing I've ever done for my channel. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next one.